Coming up on the show, we got a LinkedIn expert going to help you fix your LinkedIn profile and maybe increase your success on LinkedIn. And she has free gifts for all of you listeners of Live in the Lab with Keith Bilous. Coming up today, Live in the Lab.
Hi, I'm Keith Bilous, and this is Live in the Lab. All right. A little bit of weirdness in front of the camera there for anybody who's watching, because I'm like, hey, where's the button? Where's the button? I can't get it going. How did you go viral on TikTok? You were on America's Got Talent. How much did you get paid to be on AGT? Oh, you didn't get paid. Keith and Steve here in Live in the Lab.
You're a great interviewer. I love it.
48 miles, 48 hours. And not just once. You ain't seen nothing yet. I hit 50 last time, and I'm like, yeah, things are a little different than they were 10 years ago. So trust me, things are to keep. You have no time for the BS that much of society seems to put on the table. Why is that? Like, what you're talking about is real right now. There's just no bullshit here, but it's just real. We brought you in with some Marley. I said, Joseph, let's talk music for a second. You said, well, Keith, oldies, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I've never talked to a sir before. Why are you a sir? In many ways, we're the same story. I came from nothing. You came from nothing. I think the old saying goes that if you want a trophy, you climb Everest. If you want respect, you climb K2. I've built an AI myself, and it's pretty fascinating when you can have a conversation with yourself with your own knowledge. Have you done that before? Why are we rushing to make these tools if they're all going to do is hurt humanity? Does the world need an Oppenheimer moment? I think I'm still figuring things out today. Hey, what's going on, nation? Keith Bilous joining you live in the lab on Monday. Oh, I'm feeling good today. We got a LinkedIn expert gonna come teach me how to improve my LinkedIn and how to improve your LinkedIn. Hey, listen, I've been making a lot of content this morning. You know what we do here in the lab now? I mean, we entertain and we inform. I know you have no idea what the heck you got yourself into today. I know you're just wrapping up your day over there in London. Listen, I've been up for 3,800 hours already, doing morning shows, doing evening shows, just doing every show under the sun. We started this morning off mornings in the lab with myself and Nicole Bernard. We talked about the changes in LinkedIn. Yeah, we're here all talk. They are adding games. Adding games. Who the hell wanted games in LinkedIn? Apparently users did. So LinkedIn's like, hey, we'll give you some games. We'll give you like some crossword puzzles and some Wordle stuff and just a bunch of different things for you guys to play with. So let's see if this one works. That is the plan. LinkedIn's going to add some games, and LinkedIn's changing to be adding some more news to the platform. You probably noticed on the right-hand side of your column there, got a little more news popping up, and with X and Facebook and everybody's got out of the news business. LinkedIn's like, hey, maybe we'll serve up some news for the audience because we know people need something to do when they're at work. Except work. Who wants to work when they're at work? I just want to read the freaking news. I just want to do quizzes. I want to read the news, and I've discovered this brand new show popping up on my LinkedIn feed. It's called Live in the Lab with Keith Bilous. It's called Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Nicole. 2 shows in your LinkedIn feed every single day to inform you. No, not to inform you. To entertain you and inform you. And oh by the way, Naomi, hey, she's got gifts for you guys. So I don't want to offend her too much because she has gifts, but I might have to just say something about the fact that Naomi, you called this a podcast. That this is not a podcast. We do a show. We let everybody else do the boring podcasts. The world does their boring podcasts. They inform, they bore, but we are here to entertain and have incredible guests like you teach our wonderful bapl Nation all those LinkedIn tricks and tips to help them move their personal brand, their profile, their LinkedIn life forward. Before we invite Naomi into the lab, a couple things for you guys that just slipped out of my mind instantly and immediately. Oh, I know what it was. Hey, we're hoping to show you guys more of bapl headquarters this week, the behind the scenes of the lab, more of that. And also, we have mornings all week. We're tracking Nicole Bernard, her 100-day training for her ultra marathon. So join us in the mornings. Show's getting better every single day. This morning, we talked about ways you can get your cardio in, ways that you can improve your LinkedIn life, which is kind of segue into our chat today. But check us out in the mornings. We're over on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, YouTube, every platform. We're all over the place. We're ubiquitous. So speaking of ubiquity, let's let the volume down, bring it down, and let's pivot our attention to over here, which is this camera right here. And let's welcome Naomi Rose Everly to the lab.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
I'm good. I've got that spring energy going on. All the plants are all coming up with all that new energy, and my ideas and everything I'm doing is all just coming as well. So I'm doing good today.
the spring energy coming to us from London. No, are we coming from London?
About 60 miles south on the south coast. Yeah, directly down by the water.
So I know that, listen, the Business Athlete Performance Lab, we're here to talk about business, athletics, AI, adventure, performance, pop culture, lifestyle, longevity. I feel like I have to weave in some pop culture into the conversation right now.
Okay.
So you're in the backyard of where news is being made these days.
Yep, maybe.
with the royal family.
Oh, yes.
So, the photographs of Kate, the doctored photographs of Kate, where the heck has Kate been? Are we getting another season of The Crown because Kate and William are having affairs all over what the hell's going on over in London?
I don't know. The only people who actually cared about that photo was the media, and the only people that tell the story is the media. You have to look behind them. I mean, it's just selling newspapers and filling the internet out with rubbish, isn't it? Really,
it really is. It absolutely is.
It's all lies. I mean, how you can portray Kate and William to have a perfect marriage when no marriage is ever perfect?
What?
And you can. I know, shocking.
Oh my God!
Even if you're royal.
You just broke news here in the lab today. Naomi Rose Everly. I got to get it on the banner. I got to get this on the banner right now. What did you just say? You said that
no marriage is perfect.
is not perfect. Yeah, that's the quote from Emily. We're going to put that on there right now. Boom, boom. There we go. Marriage is not perfect, courtesy of Naomi Rose Everly. Breaking news here today, live in the lab. She joins us from London because apparently Kate and William's marriage is not perfect.
Okay. I mean, the thing is, they've been portrayed for so long as having a perfect marriage. All this wonderful, bubbling, perfect family imagings and stuff. And they portray Meghan as the evil witch dominating over Harry. And it's just a narrative they're telling. It. None of it is true. I think Meghan's great, actually. And his book was great, and he's a really great person. And if he wants to put the record straight and tell his story, then it's not selling secrets on his family. He's telling his story, which is history. And if he doesn't tell it, the media will tell his story, and they're getting it wrong. So yeah, I'm a real fan of Meghan and Harry and reality of Kate and William, and I do believe him about stories that are being shoved away. People are negotiating not to have their story in the paper, and I've got a very good piece of evidence to prove that that's true. Actually, when you think about it,
you have evidence.
Well, let's think about it logically, okay?
So, I love the direction of today's show already.
We care so much about Harry because he has an ear of the king, and the person who has an ear to the king has accountability, correct? That's what they're saying.
Yes.
Then let's talk about it. How many children does King Charles actually have? How many children does he have?
Is it 87?
No.
What? Oh my God. What?
So the average person would tell you that King Charles has 2 children, but actually for the last 15 years, he's had 2 stepchildren. So he's actually got 4 children, but we never see those 2 children. We don't know how many children they've got. We don't know what jobs they do. We don't know what mischief they get into. We don't know what clothes they wear. We don't know what cars they drive, because they're never in the paper. So somebody somewhere, they're doing stuff that's newsworthy for sure, but somebody somewhere is going, oh, just don't put them in the paper, have this story instead. So that's my critical thinking way.
Oh, I love your POV. So allow me to ask you then your opinion about Western media in 2024.
Okay, so my opinion on politics is they're a bunch of stupid schoolboys, right? But that's only because that's what the story of the media is telling me. But who knows if that's what's true? One person says we should fire the prime minister, and suddenly that's the headline for the day. Not actually like what happened that was good, but the things that they did good that day. So the media are really just driving a narrative to cause division and really get us fatigued. If we can tire out and not believe what we're being told and tire on it, then we're not going to pay attention, and then we're not going to care what the government are doing, because it's just a load of rubbish anyway. We're all just mucking around. Yeah.
So Business Athlete Nation, we are here today with Naomi Rose Everly to talk LinkedIn, improving your LinkedIn profile, getting your LinkedIn shit together. However, Uncle Keith's curious. He's just a curious brain. And we do things differently here in the lab. We just do. It's just funny. I had somebody sent me a note this morning that said, "Hey, so can you send over some of the scripts and questions and things you're going to ask?" And my response was, here's the URL to our show. Go watch some of the content we put out because we do things a little differently here. So yeah, I planned on talking about LinkedIn, but when I recognized that old Naomi was from London, I'm like, well, I got to ask some questions about what's happening in her backyard. I would be because Business Athlete Nation would be chastising me not for saying, well, you got to ask Naomi about the prince, about the king, about the princess, about the edited photos, about what the hell's going on back there.
I don't think the general public cares, to be honest with you.
You are right, but it's entertaining, and we have some fun with it. We laugh with it, and maybe we get some clickbait. And listen, the viewers aren't going away. I can see the numbers, and they're like, "Oh, I'm intrigued. Maybe we're going to spend a little more time."
Maybe I should become a royal correspondent then.
That's exactly.
Maybe your next guest should be a royal correspondent.
So maybe you can hook me up. You can hook me up.
I don't know. Oh, I could use LinkedIn and find them. Yeah,
good segue. That's awesome. I was just going to say, can you segue this way to the direction of hooking some of me up in LinkedIn? But let's talk LinkedIn. We're 14 minutes into our chat. Naomi Rose Everly, you joined us from London today. We had some laughter around the royal mess. Who cares? It's funny. When we do post-production, we'll have some fun with this. But let's talk LinkedIn. You are a LinkedIn expert. I have recently been working on building my personal brand in LinkedIn. I've very much fully committed to it. I spend many hours a day in here. I am all in. We'd love to hear your POV on things. Just, I'm going to stop talking and I want to hear, let's first of all get the audience understanding why they should care about Naomi and why she's a LinkedIn expert.
Yeah, so I've been reviewing people's profiles now for 11 years. I was selling LinkedIn training as part of an organization that was selling to actually LinkedIn. The book that we had written by Bert Verdonk was actually given to all LinkedIn employees when they came on board. And then one day in the taxi drive home from LinkedIn's offices, I said, why do I sell LinkedIn training to small businesses when LinkedIn are opening up all of their accounts to us to go and do training for their corporate client? And at that moment, I knew that I needed to segue away from what they were doing because I started off as a life coach in 2005. I went belly up, made every mistake in the book, as you do. And I say in the book, I mean it is actually in the book because I wrote the book on every mistake I made. And then through the LinkedIn training that I was doing, I kept repeating myself all the time about what to put on your LinkedIn profile. So then I wrote a book on what to put on your LinkedIn profile. But what really happened was then, it was when I segued away from those guys and I started up the profile company on my own, I was delivering LinkedIn training. I was writing people's LinkedIn profiles because I noticed that when I was giving the LinkedIn training, LinkedIn profile reviews, that people were too close to their own subject to actually be objective about it, to write about it. They weren't wordsmiths and they didn't have the time to do it themselves. So then I said, well, would you like me to write this for you? And it was that started my business, the profile company, writing people's profile. But then about 18 months in, I realized that where I was fixing for things for people inside of the 90-minute interview that I do to write the profile, to learn about them, I was suggesting stuff like, oh, your package should be this, and your call to action should be this, and the call should be structured in this way. But because I was fixing those things for them in 90 minutes, they weren't taking ownership of those things. So they weren't using those things. And therefore, the profile, though it pitched their services and pitched their credibility, they weren't standing behind their offer of book a diagnostic call with me. And they weren't standing behind the packages that we had kind of put together. And so I got to the point where I just said, you know what, I'm not going to write your LinkedIn profile if you don't have these things sorted out, because it's actually going to be a waste of money for you. Because I literally just won't take someone's money if I think it's not going to work for them. So at that point, which would be 7.5 years ago now, I actually bought in my coaching package, which is to actually get people to build the structure of the business behind to make LinkedIn work. And that's one of the things that I see happening all of the time. LinkedIn is where you can go get business. LinkedIn, you can get all these leads, you can get clients off of it, which only very few people actually achieve that, because there's some really big fundamental problems that people have inside of their business structure for why LinkedIn isn't going to work for them. So then I wrote my book, Magnetize Your Expertise on LinkedIn. Discover how to build a business so you become the only person your prospects want to work with, which is a nice chunky book with lots of diagrams and color pictures. And I just saw a review actually that somebody wrote on that, and it fixed all their problems. So that was nice.
It seems like everybody and their uncle is a LinkedIn expert.
Yeah.
And I just kind of say that flippantly in many ways, but in some ways also very seriously, because I'll help you with your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
What should somebody be looking for in somebody that can help them with their LinkedIn profile? I get thousands of questions for you, so there's just one of them. But what is somebody looking for when they're saying, I want to hire you as my LinkedIn expert? Is it number 4?
I think,
what is it?
Yeah, for me, it's all about the timing and the position you are in your business. So I hear people all the time who say, I went to an expert to spend a day with them. They're going to help me with their Facebook ads or whatever it is. And they go there, they paid like $3,000 or something, £3,000 for it for a day of these experts. And then the experts ask them some questions like, what's your niche? What's the problem you're going to solve? What are you selling? And actually, they can't answer those questions. So when I began, I was the first person to say your LinkedIn profile is the most important. Everybody else was like, it's actually about spamming people. And I was the first person to write a book on your LinkedIn profile and the first person to start a company just writing your LinkedIn profile. And I've always kind of stayed away from the training because I wanted those boundaries around what it is I actually am an expert in. And what in that time, in the last 9 years, you're absolutely right. So many people have come along and said, I'm a LinkedIn expert. And they probably really very much are because they're using it and they're doing it themselves. But there's so many things we've got to stop and take account of before we can follow someone's advice. We have to make sure that any strategy we implement is right for our audience. Is our audience on LinkedIn? And if so, how are they behaving? Are they someone who's consuming content, or are they someone who's connecting with people? Or are they someone who's just too busy to be on LinkedIn, but you can find them on LinkedIn, like a CEO, for example? So we've got to work out how your audience is actually behaving. Who's the decision maker? And how are they behaving? And how are the people that surround the decision maker behaving? And how will your message actually get through to them? Because sometimes it's actually just a trainee that will do the initial research. The board of directors have identified a problem. Someone's divvied it out to an intern and said, can you go and find this for me? And it's actually someone low level in the organization that's found the information about you, and they've got to feed it back up through the organization. And that person, say with 20-year-old, they've got to be able to articulate for you why you're the best. And so it's creating your stuff around the audience in the way that your audience behave. And then it's got to work with your personality and it's got to work with your lifestyle. So you can't carbon copy somebody else's stuff. It's got to be, you've got loads of energy, but somebody else doesn't have loads of energy. So they can't create a show like yours. It might be a great way for you to lead generate, but it won't be for the next person. So when it comes to lead generation on LinkedIn and how I'm going to operate on LinkedIn, you can't just take what you're given I did this and I had all the success, so therefore you can do exactly the same. A true expert is someone who has experience and knowledge and will be able to adapt it around your audience, around the product you're selling, and really listen and make sure you've got the right strategy. It's not going to be someone who says, I got all the success and you can do exactly the same as me.
It really comes down to figuring out what's going to work best for you, right? There is a framework I think we all could more than likely agree upon, but within that framework, you need to find the variables that work best for you as your personal brand.
Yeah.
Which opens up, I guess, the question to you. Mm-hmm. There's lots of chatter these days around personal brands, personal brand. Are we moving into an era, Naomi, where the resume is dead because it's literally just a bunch of words spit out by Chat GPT and AI generated imagery, and we can create a fake persona relatively immediately and instantly. Yeah. However, with a little bit of time, I could spend some time getting to know Naomi digitally, getting to know her brand through spending time on her LinkedIn profile. If I had to choose between Naomi on a resume or Naomi's personal brand, I'm probably going to go to the Naomi personal brand. Mm-hmm. Are you seeing that to be the case as true as well? Or is this just hyperbole talking about everybody, selling personal brand services when they really aren't really doing anything?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because what is a personal brand and what am I selling if it's a personal brand? You're really selling an association with a person and how you feel when you're around that person. But are you actually able to get results for them? So I wouldn't say that I actually would market someone around a personal brand, because that's just a person. You dress them up, they look good, they've got great photos, they've got great colors, great color palette, and it looks fun and it looks exciting. But people don't buy personal brands. What they actually buy is a solution to the problem that they have. So people are walking around with problems, and they either know that they have a problem and are looking for a solution, or they know they have a problem and don't know a solution exists, or they don't know they have a problem and aren't looking for a solution. And if you are going out there as a personal brand in all of that, there's a high chance that you're actually going to the people who say, I know I have a problem and I'm looking for a solution. These people are more likely to buy a commodity because they know how to buy. If your pipe bursts, you know to get a plumber, you know to Google plumber in my local area, and you can phone a few up and you'll get a quote and you'll go for the cheapest quote. That is a commodity. Whereas when you can, and it's also known as a red ocean as well. And a red ocean is named that because that's where all the fish are. That's where everyone's battling it out, and it's red because of the color blood, basically. And blue ocean strategy is when you swim right away from that, swim right up the stream, and it's big clear water, and you actually meet your prospects when they've never met any of your competitors, because they've never realized that there's a solution to their problem, or they didn't realize they had a problem in the first place. And SEO is great for the commodity when someone is looking for a solution. But for many of us, especially people who are experts in their subject, no one knows the solution. So how can they Google? How can keywords be used? Because we actually don't know what to Google. We just don't know the keywords. We don't know to put plumber in because we don't know that that's what we need. So social media, and LinkedIn especially, is really good for talking about the symptoms of your problem so that people go, oh, that's interesting. That sounds like a problem I've got. And they identify with it. Once they've identified with it and got awareness, they will then go to diagnosing their problem and doing a little bit more research to say, actually, that's me and I do have that problem. And then depending on what it is, they'll actually go through a period of self-implementation where they'll watch YouTube videos, listen to podcasts, read books. Sometimes that's a long period of time for somebody and they get all their solutions just from that. And for other people, it's very quick. Before they go, nah, I can't fix this. I'm going to need to invest here. I need to put budget in. And that's when your profile actually comes into play. So you can go personal brand as much as you like, but if nobody recognizes that they have the problem you're trying to solve, it will just go in one ear and out the other ear. That'll look nice and people try and be like you, but it won't actually bring any new clients to you, people who have identified they've got a problem. Because the other thing you're doing is you're not showing off your knowledge either. And it's showing off that knowledge and that expertise and bringing people to an understanding of their problem and helping them solve small problems. That is actually what's going to develop the relationship and develop that trust that they need in you in order to want to buy from you. Now, once you've got that problem, you're really clear on the problem and you're putting out that content that's all about the symptoms of the problem and getting people's attention, then there's absolutely no reason why not to dress that up looking good with good photos and good color palette, and then, look good. That's absolutely great. But it has to go deeper than just build a personal brand. It's got to be, what is the problem you're solving for your clients and why you? Where's your expertise coming from?
But isn't, Naomi, that what a personal brand is? Somebody who can articulate how they solve the problem? Isn't a personal brand something where you're showing your social proof? You are putting your values, your attributes, your experience on display. You're displaying your LinkedIn profile, the content, the ways that you will solve solutions in a very specific way. That's more what I'm referring to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it just needs that definition of when people are saying personal brand. It does need that definition of just going that bit deeper than just like the way you might come across it. And there's some people I'm connected to at the moment are just doing a fabulous job of it, really putting out great content. And they have got this wonderful energy that's coming through in their photos. And yeah, it absolutely works. It's really good. But I would say the reason why I defined it that way is because I think a lot of people coming into this, they don't understand necessarily that it is the depth of what I've just spoken about. They just hear that, and they're not getting that real definition. And so they're coveting after something, trying to find the budget to go and work with someone to do something without fully understanding what actually is going into it. And they can do an awful lot just with really good knowledge.
Right. So when you say the word depth, is what you're meaning that you need to be very real, raw, and authentic and put yourself on display as a human being? Is that when you say by depth, where you're not just, putting something cursory out there? Define depth for me.
Depth is in your subject and your expertise. It's how you're moving a person from where they are now to where they want to get to. I've seen all sorts of people do things on LinkedIn. I've seen somebody who is that completely raw. This happened to me today, and I'm traveling off to do such and such, and I just got divorced, and this is how I feel about it. And I've watched for over a year and gone, but I don't actually associate your name with your profession. I actually don't know what it is that you do. And then obviously I've gone, hang on a minute, let me go find out. I've gone and I found out. But even though I can associate her with that industry now, I have to think about it consciously. It's not an unconscious association, which is what you want. And also, I don't know why she's great at it. I don't know if she is the person that sits behind the camera, knows how to do good angles, how to do good scripting. I don't know what it is that she actually is bringing to the profession to know that I would recommend her over and above somebody else. And also, there's this whole thing about having viral posts and I've got 10,000 people looked at this. And a lot of the time, people are sharing some really personal stuff just to get that. And I've questioned, well, okay, but how many people connected with you and asked for your services directly after this? And if the answer isn't many, then there's no point touting that really personal thing in order to get that result. And I actually kind of decided I'm going to test this myself. And I was graduating from university, an MBA in strategic leadership about 2 years ago. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to do one of these posts that will go viral. It's not my thing, but I'm going to do the whole thing. Age 6, I was put down, and age 9, this was said to me, and I overcame. And look, you can achieve anything if you attend the class and do the assignment, you'll get an MBA. Do you know what I mean? It's not about anything else. it's just a system you work it, right? Yes. But I put this post together, and I had a picture of me with my graduation hat on and everything. And that post achieved the viral likes and comments that I was expecting it to get. But it didn't lead to any increase in the number of people connecting with me, and it didn't lead to any increase in the business that I was getting. So yes, there is a place for those kind of things, but it's how deep are you actually going? Like, I've seen somebody post up about his wife's miscarriages, and you're like, how triggering is that for a woman or a man who's just gone through that over the last few weeks and maybe coming back to work today and sees that? And it's just so raw and personal. I just feel for his wife. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's a balance between how deep and raw you go. And everything you say has to come back to, what is this saying about my business? How is it leading a person into my sales funnel, leading them to want to hire me as an expert, rather than the ego kind of results that you might get.
Mm-hmm. Here's where I get curious with my questions and with my observations. Is at the end of the day, humans buy from humans.
Yeah,
we buy from people we like, from people that we relate to, from people that we're interested in, who we're perhaps entertained by, curious with, for a number of different reasons. Value, price, all those different reasons. While I can appreciate, I don't know if we need to be posting content around miscarriages and so forth on social. I do appreciate the authentic realness when humans are real with me.
Absolutely.
And in a world of so much AI generated content, the ability to get to know Naomi through her words, through her video, through her audio, through her content is important to me today. And I can only think it's going to be more important as we continue to move forward, in the way that we're marketing and selling ourselves on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. I struggle to get AI to write me a post that has personality, and has that kind of punchiness to it and that reflection in it. And it is a vulnerability. You're right, because it is this case of saying, I don't have all the answers, but hey, look what I achieved. Keeping it on point. So it can't do it for you. And the posts that I engage with the most are clearly written by a human being. And I think everyone would probably attest to that.
Well, so and I guess that's what goes to my point of like the person, like the idea of putting personal content on LinkedIn. And I know our conversation is going to stay here today, not X, not Instagram. We're focusing on LinkedIn today. And there's always been this point of view that LinkedIn is a business network, business.
Yeah.
But the pandemic changed the world. Business and pleasure and professional and building and remote and nomadic and hybrid, and we all, every definition we grew up with has been changed, including how we consume media, how we create it. Is LinkedIn just a business professional network anymore? Or is it a network of human beings having real discussions? And is that really what's happening with it? They're adding games, they're encouraging us to do different things in the platform. They're, maybe swerving more news into it because they're recognizing it's the only social platform. Maybe only is a loaded term, but it's I could argue it is, that has real human identities attached to it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Especially now you can verify your account to prove that it's actually you. And it is. It is. And there is the changes on LinkedIn at the moment. What they're going for is making posts that encourage discussion and thought leadership and discussion, that back and forth deep discussion. They're making those posts last longer now, because I lost heart with it, with all this trying to get 15 comments and 15 likes within 2 hours to get your post to be boosted up, because that post will take a long time to create and will be gone really quickly. So it's a really good change that they're making, because it is something that you can now go back and forth with people in a discussion and really glean information from. And that's really great. The other thing to note as well is it's about taking those relationships off of LinkedIn as well and actually meeting people face to face. And I think you're absolutely right in what you're saying, because I've noticed for myself what's changing is even a networking event now, for me, going in person isn't enough. When I go to networking events now, I see people that I think there's something there that I could really talk to them about. And people say, I'll go for the one-to-one conversation and stuff, which I always think is a waste of time anyway. By the time you've driven there, got your cup of teas and had your chat, and then you're going to try and pitch your services, I'm like, forget it, I'm not doing it. I'd rather offer you a LinkedIn profile and strategy review where I can get to know you and really get into depth with you. So that's what I would do instead of a one-to-one. But what I've noticed about networking is it's just not enough to just show up and see you and schmooze around the room and then go home and maybe see you a month later. I'm looking at the individuals that I think, I want to get to know you better, and actually cherry picking some of them and going, hey, I'm going to have a lunch at this restaurant on this day at this time. Would you like to come? And bringing 3 to 6, 8 people along to have a really in-depth conversation. And deepen those relationships and do life with people,
So you may have observed, or maybe this is new to you, but what you're talking about is exactly what I'm trying to do on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's changing. It's changing right in front of us. And I'm betting all of it on video. And I'm basically getting on here now 2 hours a day and giving people the chance to get to know me. Right. So in a different way than maybe we have done in the past, very similar, Naomi, to when we used to sit down and watch the news to get, we grew trust with the news broadcaster. Right. It's like, okay, that guy or that woman's giving me the news. I trust them because they're giving me the news today. Right. And we tuned into them every single day. They were always giving us the news. So my goal with this platform on LinkedIn is to have interesting guests like yourself talk about these topics, have discussion, but put something different in people's feeds than what we're used to always seeing. People are used to seeing this stuff. I'm getting people coming on my doors your last couple of weeks going, I don't see stuff like you in my feed. What are you doing over there? Because it's different. Trying to have a conversation, right? Dig further into this idea of profiles, and you are a profile expert. Do you focus on profiles only, or are you focusing on the entire LinkedIn strategy of a user, whether it's posting, whether it's engagement, whether it's, everything that goes into having a successful, LinkedIn strategy? Or are you very much hey, I'll take care of your profile and then you got to go take care of the rest yourself?
Yeah. So I look at it like a tree, and the tree has roots that you don't see. And then you have all the branches coming off the top, and these are different marketing strategies. I go to networking event, I do a podcast, I do networking, all the different things that you could do. And the tree produces leaves, and those leaves are the equivalent of a post, and that post will just fly by. And sometimes we can look at it and go, that came from an oak tree, that came from an acorn tree, that came from a palm tree. And other times it's just a pile of leaves. And sometimes on LinkedIn, when you're going through the content, all you're seeing is a lot of leaves. And if your post doesn't go back to what we're talking about, your personal brand, where someone can go, that post belongs to Naomi and that post belongs to Keith, because it's got an essence about it. It's got a resonance that is definitely you. That is what we're going for. And they busted in, sorry.
Awesome. Oh, that's awesome.
I shut the door. The door's broken. I've got a lock to put on it, and they just busted in.
That's the best. What do you have there?
I have 2 cats. They're 5 months old, a black cat and a tabby.
Oh, that's
So, yeah.
They wanted to get on the conversation.
They did. They've been banging at that door, I tell you. They finally pushed it open. And they're always in the same room as me, wherever I go.
Yeah.
So what I was saying was, it's like you do want to get to that point with that personal brand that you can say, that content belongs to that person. And that is your, you've got your tree and you've got all your strategy. And my work starts and finishes with the LinkedIn profile, which is on the trunk.
Yes.
And the foundation.
Yes.
So I work with a person to work out their strategy based on the foundation of their company. And the LinkedIn profile will probably not get written until our 7th plus coaching session. Because before I can write the LinkedIn profile, just don't understand, do they? Let me just hook this back up.
Live in the lab with Keith Bilous, Naomi Rose Everly. Naomi is being attacked by the cats in her lab, in her own lab right now. This is the best.
It's called Loki for a reason.
This is why I go live, because we have
these moments. Honestly, if I was better at DIY, that door would have a lock on it. I really tried yesterday to put a lock on it, and I just couldn't. I couldn't. So my friend was
your face when it was happening.
They're not happy with me, I tell you. They're like, you're ignoring us.
Oh my God.
Oh, I can see she's coming again.
Oh man, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram Nation, Business Athlete Nation, you got to tune in live. This is going to drop in the trailer. When cats invade the lab.
Oh, I saw going back to Will and Kate's doctored photos. Somebody posted the real photo.
Yeah,
it was covered in cats. It was like, there's a cat here, and she's like, one under her arm and on her head.
Oh my goodness, this is.
I'd have to find it for you so you can put it with this.
This is the best.
Yeah. Sorry about all of this.
No, this is awesome. Hey, Naomi, I told you at the beginning, we're here to entertain and inform. And this is entertaining. This is good content. This is the best content because we are in the attention industry. Because no different than LinkedIn profile. You got to find something that's going to get somebody's attention to go, oh, I want to learn more about Naomi. Oh, I want to see more about Keith, right? So whether it's cats entering and knocking off lights and us having some fun, I don't care. We live in a world now where we got to find a way to stand out. So, ironically enough, the cats entering was perfect for this conversation to be illustrative of trying to create action. Do you know what I mean?
You can ask more if you want. I'm sure they'll be back in a minute. So let's go to what I was saying. For me with my work, I mean, let me give you this example. Do you remember when Clubhouse launched in 2020?
100%. Yes. Right. You know what's funny is our numbers just went up on LinkedIn right now. I'm watching as the cat situation was happening. So.
Can we have some more entertainment? Oh, brilliant. When Clubhouse came out, people were saying, oh, this is fantastic. They loved it. And there were people saying, I just made 80 grand on it this morning. I've got on Clubhouse and you can make 80 grand in a morning. And I was like, oh my God, that's the strategy. This is the place I've got to be.
Yeah.
And then I say, stop, look at this lady. It's not that she's got a big following. It's that she knows how to pitch her product really, really well. And her product is priced at $20,000 per person. So she's actually just sold four packages. She's pitched it really well. She's come across as credible and she's turned up in the right room and said the right things at the right time, which all of us can do. But the thing is she's actually got a package that's designed to solve a problem. And she's got a sales process. So she says, get on a phone call with me and I'll diagnose this. And she knows at the end of that call, if she speaks to 50 people, she will convert X number, right? So if you go on, when she went on the Clubhouse and she maybe had a room with 1,000 people and she said some really great stuff and then said, drop me a DM and I'll book you in for a one-to-one. Maybe she had 40 people jump in, of which 10% bought. 4 people times 20 grand is 80,000, right? So it's actually 4 people times 20. Oh, I just called you. Is that right? I embarrass myself in maths. I think I'm right. It's got some zeros on the end. But this is the point, you see. This is what a lot of people are missing. It's not so much the LinkedIn, it's the structure of the business. So what I do with people is I work out, okay, what is the problem that you feel you want to solve in the world, that you feel innately drawn to, that it doesn't matter how distracted you get with other things, that in your life, you always come back to this, and that you can look through your life and say, this is how you solve it. And I'm adamant it needs to be solved this way. That you've actually left, a lot of people leave their job to say, I'm going to go do this because the way the industry is doing it is so wrong. I want to tell people that it needs to be done this way. So you've got a burning passion inside of you. And then it's working out, okay, so what is it people are doing now that they shouldn't be doing? And what is it that you're telling people that they should be doing? Great, we've got that down. We understand there's a problem and this is the way it should be done. Now tell me your credibility, your history. Why are you the person to do this? Great, now how are we going to deliver this? So we know that no one's going to come along and just spend £60,000 with you on one package. They will come in for a small taster of like maybe a small diagnostic between £1,000 to £5,000, knowing that they'll probably go the whole way with you, but don't draw me into 60. Let me sign up for 5, then let me sign up for the next bit, and then sign up for the next bit. Over a year, I probably would have spent 60. But you need the staging with your packages. You need your packages worked out in the right way that you can get an easy first yes. How are you going to get people to say, yeah, okay, let's take that step, and then we can take the next step. So I work with people to figure out their unique methodology. How are they going to work with their clients and actually lead them through this transformation, you know, where they are now to where they're going to get to? How are we going to take them through that? We don't go into a lot of detail because there's not a lot of point of doing detail until you've got a client in front of you and you're working with them and you're testing it and you're building out assets that actually back up that unique methodology. But every client wants to be told, this is the best way to go about it. This is how we're going to do it. And what we don't know, we'll figure out as we go along. But this is my expertise. This is what we're going to do. And they go, love it. I love what you're saying. Let's do that. Now, in order to sell that package, you also have to have a sales strategy. And that is a diagnostic call where a person can get on a call with you and learn about what you do and open up and tell you all of their problems, all of their vulnerability, and where they're up to in terms of solving it so that you can pitch them the right solution at the right price. You know, nothing gets sold without that conversation. And a lot of people are putting like, oh, come and have a free 1 hour taster session, or let's have a 15-minute chat. That chat does not put you in control of that conversation. And if you're not in control of the conversation, then you can't elicit from that person all the information that you need in order to pitch back to them, this is why you should work with me, or why you should not work with me. So you need to be in control of that conversation. And that conversation, sales conversation, yes, but no one comes to a sales conversation.
Yeah.
You have to dress it up. You have to say, I offer a LinkedIn profile and strategy review. It's half an hour and it's over Zoom. And I will look at all of that you've got and what's working and what's not working and tell you where the issues are that you need to put your time into. So that for me has worked brilliantly. For the last 11 years, I've been doing that. And it's just such a great conversation you can have with people and a great way of deepening the relationship, finding out how they're struggling and if you're the right solution for them. And that's what all of us need. We need that hook to get people from, oh, that's a nice LinkedIn profile, to, well, what do you want me to do about it? How do I start this relationship with you? How do I go deeper into solving this problem and actually finding out if I want to work with you? What would that look like if I approached you? How would working with you look like? So we have to figure out all of these things before we can put it onto the LinkedIn profile. Mm-hmm. You get all that sussed, and then it's about engaging people with that problem and getting it on there. Sorry, you're going to ask.
Yeah, Naomi, what's the number one thing that people do wrong on LinkedIn?
Talk about themselves.
Explain that.
Okay, so I think we all know if a profile written in a third person is obviously a no-no. Anything that reads like a CV is a no-no. The only person that can understand a CV is an HR person, because that's how they read. Most people, we don't relate to CVs, we relate to people. And then we're asking ourselves all of the time, what is in this for me? And is this a good use of my time? So if I've actually read a comment of yours on LinkedIn and I've seen that first 47 characters of your headline, which is the only what's going to show up, and I can see what you've commented, and this isn't just an opinion piece, this is actually related to your subject, so I can see that in the first 47, I'm going to go, ooh, click. I'm going to come to your profile. Instantly, I'm going to look at it. Is this a good use of my time or a complete distraction? So tidiness is one big thing. But what is in this for me? Why am I having this conversation with you? I don't care about your career at this point because I haven't got to know you. I don't care about what you did, where you did it. What I care about is, tell me more about the subject and how it relates to me. And then I'm going to care about you. So it's about really setting the scene with the context of the problem that you solve. And so people go, oh, okay, I get it. And it might not be for me, but I might know somebody it is for. But at least then I can actually say, oh, that's what he does. And we want to write it like it's a conversation. So if I was at a networking event, I'd look across the room and I say, oh, that guy Keith looks decent. I'll go over and say, hello, that's your photo. I come up to you and I say, hi, I'm Naomi. What's your name? And you say, Keith. Great. Keith, what do you do? And you'll give me a one-liner, and that's your headline. And I go, ah, that's interesting. Tell me more. And then you'll actually talk to me for probably about 60 to 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. And you'll tell me about what you're doing. But because you see my face, you're interacting with me and you're hearing, you're pitching it to a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, what you want to do is you want to write the same way. If you were to pose a big question in the middle of your, I'm telling you about this, I would go, yeah, oh, and let me answer, which we don't want to happen in our LinkedIn profile, because it is less than a 2-minute read to read the about section. And we want to cover off, like, what is the problem we solve? What is our credibility in this area? How do we fix it? What do we believe about it? Why are we passionate about it? And then how can I get to take another step with you, the call to action? So it's really, you've got to write that about section really carefully. And then obviously it's about your experience. Now, the entry for your company is to say, I'm going to leave no room for question here. Let me define exactly what my company does. At the profile company, we do da 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 da. Okay, great. Now I know that I've really understood. And then you want to put your packages in. Hey, this is the big bells and whistles package that we do. And people go, wow, I love it. Oh, but I don't know you. I can't do that. So take a step back. So then you go for your middle of the road package, like, oh, I could see myself doing that. That would be a good midway step. Oh, but I don't know you. Let me just take a step back again. Oh, but you're offering me a chat, not a free chat, not a chat really, but you're offering me a diagnosis that I can do that. That sounds really valuable. Let me book in for that diagnosis. Let me have that conversation with you. So people will book in. Then with your past experience, the only people who are going to read that are those at the 11th hour about to buy from you and trying to make sure if that's the right decision. The people surrounding the decision maker or the final decision maker that's doing due diligence to have a look around, or the person who's just bought from you who now has buyer's remorse and is like, oh, who's this person I just spent this money with? I don't trust them. They are going to read your past experience. And what you want to do in there is you want to define the company. This is what it was. This is what we did. Don't assume that somebody knows that brand name. And if it is a household name, define how big it is and how many locations, how many people, but in relation to your role. So if it's HR stuff, people stuff, of course, we're going to mention the number of people, the number of locations. If it's IT stuff and you actually did this role in the early 2000s, it's really important that you point out the dates, not directly, but, during this time, things were really evolving and we had to figure out on the hop how to do such and such and such and such. And these are the transformations that I was able to bring in. So you're constantly backing up your credibility, setting context in what you're saying so people understand why your credibility is so important, because you might be a 60-year-old in IT and someone's like, oh, you don't know what you're doing anymore. But when you see how they evolved through the last 20 years, you're like, well, actually, they can really bend and shift. And this is just another era. Of course they can get it. And they can lead teams, So, and sometimes when we've come up with that actually it has to be done a different way. I really believe in this. It needs to be done a different way. That is the past experiences where you came up through the ranks and saw it being done differently or felt that it should be done differently. So you can put in there how that evolved without ever obviously putting a company down or anything negative, but you can spin it in a positive way as to I saw firsthand and this is why. So again, you're not ever talking about yourself. Everything you write is what is in this for the person reading it and how does it help them to make a decision to work with me.
You said something at the beginning of your answer when you said that you see a comment from somebody and you quickly look at what they do. And then we as humans quickly become curious and we click on their profile. Okay, here's what they do. I've discovered, and this is something I've discovered, and I don't know, maybe it's the magic I've discovered here. Nobody's discovered it yet. But man, I launched my learning. Yeah, I launched the morning show last week to prove a test. Mornings in North America from 6 a.m. to like 9 a.m. LinkedIn's hopping. Maybe the same thing in London there in the morning. People get up in the morning, they get on their socials and have their coffee and do their thing. So I thought to myself, I know that if you click my profile, you'll come to my page and you'll see just my banner. I wonder if I go and become active across the socials at 6 and 9 a.m. and also broadcast live and link at the same time. Do you know, Naomi, how many people do what you exactly just said? They see me comment, they click my profile, they come to my page, they start watching Keith do live in the lab.
Yeah.
It works. And the people that I see come here because they see a comment somewhere. So my point is the morning show content, there's a platform of growth happening there because the audience is there. They see my comment in the morning. Oh, what's this Keith guy? They click on it. Oh, there he's talking right now. And they get a chance to get to know me instantly. Right. Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see more of that with people. Because the way that LinkedIn broadcasts the top of your profile.
I think we are, but one thing I would say is always answering the question, what's in it for me? Because when with other podcasts that I've gone on to sometimes the person gets very confident about their audience and they start off the podcast with banter between them and their co-host. There is absolutely no relevance to me and I'm not part of it because I've just joined this conversation. And it's 10 minutes of my time I don't have and I'll switch off. So it's always, I'm only going to keep listening if there's something in this for me. If this is helping me today. And sometimes it's not an insult that the person disappears. It's just, it's not on my agenda today. It's not my thought patterns right now. But you can't, it's always got to come back to what's in it for the person listening. What is the value that they're getting from this? And they will click on and they will listen. Because people are curious and they are trying to solve problems in their lives or curious about the symptoms that they have to go, oh, there's a solution. Oh, I could do something about this.
I would reckon sometimes the problems that people have at work, they just want to be entertained. They don't want a breath of fresh air. And if
that is the problem you are solving.
And if we can bring something fresh and different, perhaps that's solving a problem. Before we go, if you maybe give me a couple minutes of your time, critique my profile. You landed on it. You looked at it.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Did you give me some critique on it? Right now we're broadcasting on it, so you're just going to see our two heads on it right now. But I'm all about learning. I'm all about taking it in. I want to learn. So if there's anything you can give me some advice, some free advice while I got you.
Absolutely. I did have a good look earlier, and I wasn't too shocked, so that's good.
Oh, good. So I have a little bit of I got a little bit of credibility in your point of view then.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. So I looked at you on my phone to begin with, and your featured content really stood out to me, because you have this is what I stand for. This is what I use to achieve my biggest goals. And you've got branded backgrounds. So you've got the colors coming through, and it's standing out. So it makes you go, oh, this person's confident and courageous, and they're doing something. And then I've come down to your about section.
Yes.
In a blink, in a heartbeat, in a span of a phone call, that's how fast life changes. You've got my attention.
That was my hook. Did you like the hook?
Yeah, I do like the hook. And so that is, and then I got quite into your story. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. And all of that does relate back to what you do as a business athlete performance lab. That does relate back because,
awesome.
For somebody else, it just wouldn't, because it would just be like, why do I care that you lost your job? I don't know if you say it that way, but why do I care?
Yes.
Because I don't care about you, right?
Yes.
But in terms of what you're selling, I actually do care about. That actually is interesting because it does say, you know, like, I took this dip and this is how I pulled myself out and this is how I can help you. So it does work. And also you've got very short sentences, which again, when you're telling a pacey story, the way you're telling a pacey story, that really works. I wouldn't say for somebody who's an expert professional in other subjects with other audiences, I wouldn't say that would necessarily work. But like I said at the beginning of this, it's all about your audience, isn't it? And how they buy and how they respond. You're talking to individuals here, and you're talking to people who want to be inspired and lifted up. So this story inspires and lifts up, and it's pacey. So you've structured it really nicely, and it's easy to read. And I go straight in on it. So that works really well. And then you've got your audacious goals you've achieved. I think that this 50 million exit is really huge for what your credibility. And I'd like to see more in there, because actually when I started reading it, I thought, well, anyone can trek this and anyone can climb that. It just takes a bit of money and a plane ticket. And a determination, obviously, but I wanted to see more about you as a business person in there.
So this is fascinating to me, because I work with a collaborator, and we have debated that point, that $50 million exit, because I had it on my hook there. You know, you talk about how a person has their, when you see, okay, what somebody does. And so right now so my hook on mine is, I help ambitious humans achieve their audacious goals. Right. So for the longest time, I had that as my, you know, I sold my company for $50 million, just like every other person that has their hook is the same thing. But you know what, Naomi? I found myself blending in with everybody else, and it became like an arms race, right? It was like, okay, well, Naomi sold her company for $800 gazillion, and Joe sold his for $1, and Keith did his for 50. And I'm like,
you know what though, Keith, I'm going to say it. Yeah. You only feel that way because you're in a pool of people who did that. Whereas a lot of people, and so when you're thinking there's so many people who've done that, very, very few people have done that. And you're not looking to people who've done it. You're looking to people who aspire to it.
Okay.
So you're saying
don't bury it, highlight it. Because I've buried it. Not buried it, but I've kind of downplayed it because it's not, I hear what you're saying. And that's why this is really great. And I'm really grateful right now that you're teaching me this and we're having this discussion. Because what you're saying is, Keith, don't bury it, hide it. I'm sorry, don't bury it. Enlighten it, because you're curious about it.
Yeah. So the other thing is accountability partner, business athlete. The other thing you've got going on against you is so many people are like, oh, I'm a business coach, I'm a this, I'm a that.
Yes.
A business athlete accountability partner is the equivalent of a business coach. You've just used different words.
Yes.
So what would be better than to just, yes, that is exactly what you do. That's fine. But let's not blend in with everybody else trying to help everybody else to build a business. Let's tell people, actually, I did a 50 million exit, and then carry on with what you're saying. So yeah, because the next thing you've got on there you're giving away is a free guide, achieve your goals. Okay, well, why would I get it from you? Who are you that I would want to get it from you? Well, I would want to get it from you because you did a 50 million exit.
Right.
Do you see? So that connection is really important that goes there.
Yes, I do.
The next thing I'm going to say is I would like to see in those lists of achievements, which I think are really important.
Yes.
I would actually probably like to see less travel stuff and more breakdown of business stuff, like a 50-50 balance.
Okay.
Because I could come face to face with a great white if I paid someone to put me in a cage.
Sure.
You see what I mean?
I do.
And I know there's a different story behind that and what that meant.
Yes.
People can dismiss that quite quickly. Maybe I wouldn't like to do that. Maybe I'm too scared, you know.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to say to you, this 50 million pound exit, when I go through your background, I actually would struggle to find out which company you did that with. Because you said that you became an Uber dad for a while, I can figure out actually that's the ICUC one, right?
Yes.
I'm going to have to think about that. I'm going to have to go looking for that. So what I'm going to suggest is that you somewhere in this entry, we make it very clear. I think if we would say founder and president exited for 50 million as your job title, there's a balance there. I think it might match your personality. Other people, it might not match their personality. But I think for you, that could be the hook. Then what we want to do is you've described what the company does, but I want to know more, right?
Yes.
I want to know more about this, and I want to see those audacious goals show up. So tell me the story framed around a number of audacious goals. So you're not going to go, hey, this is my audacious goal. But when you're thinking about what am I going to say about it, what am I going to highlight, come up with 5 of your biggest audacious goals that you actually can say you did in that 19-year period, and big pivotal moments that you made happen as part of the growth and as getting to this point, and tell the story in there. Every single one of these entries here is it's like a shop window. It's a shop pane.
Mhm.
And why not really get in there and say something really great in there? Sorry, additional no talent skill, always on time for full-time parenting. Again, I wouldn't tell everybody to do that, but I think it's on point for your brand, because you are creative and you are, saying a lot of things. So I think let's get right in there about what these things are. And then legacy space is a celebration of life, helping people build a meaningful legacy we offer. All right. So what I'd like to know with your legacy space is, why did you start it? What inspired you? How big is it now? Because this is LinkedIn. It's more of that's where the CV bit comes in. Like, how big have I grown it? What's my ambition with it? Oh no, you've shut it down anyway.
Yeah, it failed. Yeah, it was a
take
failed
take it off your profile.
Oh yeah, just get rid of it, eh?
Huh?
Just get rid of it, eh?
Yep, just get rid of it. The reason is 6 months, and what I'm looking at is everything that's just going to take my attention.
Yeah.
And it's taking my attention. I would almost want to go with take full-time parent off because it's taking my attention.
Ah, yes.
But it is also part of your brand. And it's also links to the story you told above.
Yes.
And so 1 year, 10 months, that's 2 years. That is a huge thing for you. That tells me that your transformation turnaround period was 2 years. And that, again, relates to your story, relates to your credibility of you were in the wilderness effectively for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So that's, and I if I were interviewing you for this, I'd probably want to get a little bit more out of that to put in there. And actually, I would probably put a line in there, how you transitioned out of it, because there's a story there as well. And I need to see how you came out of it. And that would then bring up your president founder 50 million one up the list quite a lot. Well, we're only taking one out, aren't we? What I would then say, if you're still with me, because I'm doing this very quickly.
No, this is awesome. And I just deleted legacy space. So everything's us. We bumped it all up. So we have bapl. Yeah. We have full-time parenting. So I think we leave the full-time parenting there because it helps paint a picture of who I am and what I'm all about.
Just tell us how you evolved as a person to then say, right, I'm taking this step.
Yes.
I want to hear your step next, actually it looks like you.
I don't think any captive interactive either, because that really doesn't mean anything. That's because my life is really built around ICUC. That was the startup, Naomi, that I took from nothing and sold it. So
you did. So if you did 5 years at Captive Interactive, you need to keep it. That's the start of your career. 2002. And so this is you finding your feet as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What you mean? Yeah.
Right. So tell the story of finding your feet, how big you grew it, and if it failed or you sold it, tell us.
Well, it ended up, sorry to interrupt, but it ended up pivoting into ICUC. So it was really one of those things where we started out as doing this. As we were developing it, we're like, oh, the solution we're actually solving is that, made a pivot, sunsetted Captive Interactive, and then grew ICUC. You follow me?
Tell us that.
Okay.
Tell us that. Okay, because that's the story. We know that you did all of those list of skills.
Yeah.
Tell us that story about how it moved and became that, because actually that's everything. And the ability to pivot, the ability to see solutions, that's all part of your credibility, because you are being an accountability coach partner. And that's all part of it, right? So tell us these things.
Yes.
And how that became. So no one should ever delete anything from their profile that was pivotal to their development, that can be relevant to what they're doing now. So the reason why I said legacy space is because the celebration of life is completely off somewhere else.
Yeah.
It failed, and it was 6 months.
Yes.
And that's okay. You can put that elsewhere and tell a story about it. We're not hiding it. But what we don't want when we're scanning through is things to take our attention away from what actually is important. Full-time parent is a massive part of your story and how you grew and changed and found your feet again. And ICUC is the story, the 50 million.
Yes.
And the Captive Interactive is an evolution to get there.
Yes.
So we need those things. The next thing I'm going to say to you is the talk show host.
Yeah.
I do not see the name of this talk show here. It needs to be talk show host dash.
Oh yeah. Live and live morning.
The name of it right there.
Yeah.
Then tell me a daily live talk show for entrepreneurs, big hairy girls, subscribe to our channel and join the newsletter, tell me, actually, give me a follow on LinkedIn and you'll get notified. Tell me that it's live on LinkedIn. Tell me where I can get past episodes. Tell me about some of the guests that you've had along. Tell me what I can do if I want to be a guest and the criteria you're looking for. Really engage me into, yes, I can find this really easily if I go looking for it. And then you actually want me to come along, because sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I do this thing. Can I come? Can I come? And if you don't tell me, my insecurities might go off like, oh, I'm just not really invited there, am I? Do you know what I mean? Like, make it really obvious for me.
So you're saying put this right inside. So I updated that, hit refresh. So you're saying put this right inside of the talks, like right inside the description here, like right inside this whole content, because if you're down here reading it, like use this space effectively. I have not used this effectively because I got all the space to use it, right? I get it.
I've got 2,000 characters, including spaces. So really think about if I come to see you, like someone's watching this or another one of your things.
Yeah.
How do I engage with this? How can I get on board with this fun talk show? You know, like how do I become part of a tribe? Like I really want to know.
That's it. You're
make it really easy.
Yeah.
And then, Keith, the next thing is, you've been a founder to many things. Actually, I'll only show up as 2 founders. You are being an accountability partner, and you've decided a business coach is a business athlete, and you've got a £50 million business behind you.
Yeah.
So your product, your business is, I want to coach people. I want them to pay me money to coach them and keep them accountable to their big audacious goals. And I want to challenge them. So we don't, in this, because this is what you're selling at the moment, right? Don't be a founder. Tell me, I think probably here, business athlete and accountability partner is the thing to put in the job title here.
Oh, I see what you mean. Duh.
Right? Because founder, director, is
what the hell is that?
Space. Like,
it is. Yeah. Oh, I love how intense.
When you're a founder of a company that sold for £50 million, it's everything. When you're a founder of a company that has one person, forget it.
Yeah. You're right. Yes, because now that really emphasizes the value of president and founder of ICUC. Oh, I see. Right, because you're right.
Gotta get rid of that. So the other thing in here is, what are you selling, Keith? Like, what is your package? What is it that puts the roof over your head? It's not this.
Yeah. Yes.
This is all leading to something.
Yes.
So tell me, how do I work with Keith?
Yes.
At the business of the Athlete Performance Lab, this is the bit about.
So you know what's happened? I'll be honest with you. What's happened is, so when I launched the lab a number of months ago, it was launched as a wide net. As I was working myself back into the world and just figuring shit out, Naomi, I cast it as a wide net. Use the old marketing language of attention, interest, desire, and action. Let's get some attention.
Yeah.
Let's create some interest. Let's create some desire. And then what's happened out of this is Live in the Lab with Keith Bilous, what we're on right now, is taking a life of its own on. Because we've discovered that Uncle Keith here is pretty good at this. And then Mornings of the Lab is starting to take a life of its own on as well. So the Business Athlete Performance Lab in front of my eyes has been not changing. My vision is very clear in my mind. It's just taken longer to come to the world because these shows have taken more time than I was expecting them to take. So we're a category killer. We're a new category design business with really what bapl is ultimately. We're a media company, accountability company. We're a place for remote creators, hybrid people. We've got a number of things happening. I am not an accountability coach. Do I do accountability coach for people? Yes. I build personal brands for people. I host people. I do a lot of things under the lab banner. But you are bang on correct. I've done a really shitty job telling that. And as a matter of fact,
tell people how they can work with you and how they can get in touch with you. Like, what is the criteria? Like, you don't mess around with silly people who can't pay your fee, right? So tell people, I work with CEOs, business owner founders that are turning over £3 million and looking for their next thing to get to this level.
Yes.
That are willing to take on, that are not going to make compromises. There's words there, I just can't find them.
I know what you mean. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, because you said something earlier in the show too, which was like, well, if you're not going to do this way, I don't want to work with you. I'm the same way.
Say it right there.
There's
because
certain
some people desire to work with you because they're like, oh my god, I gotta sort myself out, or I want what he's asking, I gotta sort myself out, or they're like, yes, that's me, because they don't want to pussyfoot around with their own career. They're not going to work with someone who's going to pussyfoot around with them. So tell them this is what it takes.
Yes.
you know, in the story for the company where, you know, I said those pivotal moments that woof, woof, woof,
Yes.
audacious goals.
Yes.
This is where it all has to link back in. I'm going to take you through those moments. I'm going to help you with this, because at the moment, I don't know where you sat with the 50 million. I don't know what you actually brought to the table in terms of the pivots and the keeping it going up against what obstacles, what tenacity did that take? All I know is that you started something and maybe there were 4 other people and actually just kind of, you know, faffed around, and the market was the market, and it just, people wanted what you were selling, and you're like, oh, isn't this lovely? Didn't this happen easily? You know, at the moment, there's no context where you fit in. You're like a jigsaw puzzle that's round,
Yeah.
piece that's round, and it's like, well, where does it fit? It could fit anywhere. And now he's just floating like a cloud anyway, because he's just on his own doing this coaching thing. But no, you're not. Like, do you know what I mean? Even telling me what you're actually intending to build this out to be, based on what you've done.
Yes.
If you tell me what you're building with this, what your intention is with it, you will find people that go, I want a piece of that. I'll come in on that, because you're credible.
Yes. Yes.
Like if I wrote that, or someone else wrote that, I don't want to put myself down there, but someone else could write that. And it's like, oh, that's good luck to you. Fine, cool. That's nice, isn't it?
Yes.
Because they just like, well, who are you? You've not made a business for that amount of money. But when they see that you want these opportunities because you're creating this thing and you've handled that type of money before and teams of that size, and you know, they're going to go, yeah, I'll get on board. Can I invest in this? Can I introduce you to so and so?
The timing of this is impeccable. So first of all, I want to be respectful of your time, and you've been very gracious. You've given me more time than I've asked for, so thank you. B, we'll work towards wrapping this up, and C, wow, have you been helpful with me with my profile? I've just been I'm glad we're recording this so I can go back and listen to it changes, because I know I can improve. And I'm really grateful right now that you've been really instructive and informative around how I can make my messaging more clear on my profile, especially around the lab. That is the intention this week, is to articulate the message much more clear. I did a video yesterday. The video was, what is the Business Athlete Performance Lab? Talked about it this morning on Mornings in the Lab. And I'm really using these forums, Naomi, these shows, to really continue to articulate my vision and get people trusting and drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm doing it. Most people on LinkedIn get behind their words, which I love and I respect. I love reading them. I built ICUC behind a microphone and a camera, and I got good at doing this. So I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to try to do it again with the lab. Hence, you're seeing me do it this way. So listen, I clearly could talk to you all afternoon. I think we probably clearly could talk together all afternoon. I want to be respectful of your time. How can people find Naomi? How can they work with you? This is your platform to remind the audience how they can get a hold of Naomi to come work with you before we say goodbye.
Yeah, great. So my website is theprofile.company. And on there, you'll find several resources that can help you to write your own LinkedIn profile. And you can also book in with me to have a LinkedIn profile and strategy review yourself. And that really is for people who are self-employed, building up their business as a solo entrepreneur. They are high level experts at what they're doing in their industry. Perhaps there's someone who's like, actually, this should be done differently. And I am, you know, I really love working with people who've got very complex, hard to describe topics that are impossible to Google. So if that is you, then I do invite you to come along and book in for a LinkedIn profile and strategy review. And I will look at your profile and do exactly what I just did for Keith. As well as look at what foundations you've got in the business as well. I also have a scorecard that you can take to actually tick off and see what you've got going on and what might be lacking for you. And that is on my LinkedIn profile, Naomi Rose Everly. And also in the show notes, we're going to put a link to a gift page, and you'll find the link there for the scorecard. And in the gifts, I'm actually giving a digital copy away of Magnetize Your Expertise on LinkedIn. So if you want to come there, if you fill in your 18 questions, you'll be able to get that diagnostic and pick up a digital copy of this. And you'll be able to book in as well for that one-to-one LinkedIn profile and strategy review. So it's theprofile.company. And for the show notes, it's for the special gifts, it's theprofile.company/ live-in-the-lab. I shouldn't have put those hyphens in, but you can figure out there's a hyphen between each word, and it's live in the lab. So it's the profile.company/live in the lab hyphen between each word.
Awesome. And we will have all that out in our show notes. We'll have it on the Substack. We'll make sure it gets out everywhere so everybody can get a chance at grabbing that. Naomi, you have been exceptional. I have learned so much today. I know Business Athlete Nation has learned so much today. I had an idea while you were speaking, and maybe we talk about it off air or think about it, but you know what would be fun? I'm a creative soul, as you can tell. It might be fun to do a segment on the morning show with people that want to have their profile live critiqued on the air like mine was, where we do like a 20-minute, 30-minute sign up for a, sit down. So every Wednesday, I'm just spitting right now with Nation, right? So, join us in the lab on Wednesdays with Keith and Naomi and Nicole. She's going to break down your LinkedIn profile live on the air. I think it'd be fun.
I think it would.
It's entertaining. Yeah. I think because it gives you a chance to showcase your skills, and it gives a chance for people to feel vulnerable as well. And it fits the theme of accountability, because when you put yourself out there live, out in the open, it makes you think, right? So
yeah, and you glean so much from watching other people have their accounts done as well.
Yes.
There's a lot there.
Yes.
The other one thing I'm going to say to you as well, in your featured section, I know I said those two are really great. Add another one, and tell people, have another one which is about the live show.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah.
Because that's a way I'm going to interact with you, and it's a really open doorway. So I want to leave that doorway there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Did you have fun? I know you didn't know what you were getting into, and when we sat down, and you're like, "All right, let's just go." But it was good.
Yes, absolutely. And I got to share my wisdom on why Prince Harry is being, trashed, and I do think my theory about Camilla's children is correct. And I wish more people would pick up on it. So there you go. You gave me a platform for that as well.
Yeah. So I think we have to have Naomi Rose Everly back to talk the Royals. I'm feeling segments coming out here. I think there's segments coming out here.
I'll give you how to critically think behind the media and not believe what you've been told.
Oh my goodness. All these how-tos. We're going to have a YouTube fortune with just Naomi Rose Everly's headlines on the show here. She's going to be our hook writer. All right, now listen, here's how it's going to work. I'm going to say goodbye to you. I'm going to put you back in the green room for a quick second, say goodbye to the audience, and then come walk you out, okay?
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Hang tight. All right, everybody. Hey, that was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. I thoroughly enjoyed the critiquing of the profile, enjoyed learning from Naomi, and I hope that you guys will go back, and if you haven't heard the whole show, go back and hear it. And if you need some help, clearly she can help. She's an expert. Knock on Naomi's door. She'll move your LinkedIn profile further ahead, and more importantly, get some free stuff. All right, I'm going to get out of here. This camera is dead, so maybe that one's working. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Mornings in the lab with Keith and Nicole. We bring the energy, help you guys get moving, help you move to that next thing in your day. And then, of course, we got live in the lab tomorrow at noon, Central Time, always dropping into your feed. I'm Keith. I'm out of here. I'm going to go and walk Emily out of the door. We'll see you guys later.